everyone, welcome to episode 9 of Otomishimai.
I'm Vki.
And I'm Vka.
And we are sisters who play ultimate games. So, last week, we started talking about Season 2 of the Diabolik Lovers anime versus the second Diabolik Lovers game, which is called Diabolik Lovers More Blood. How many times can I say Diabolik Lovers? A lot more.
A lot more. We're not going to count.
No, we're not going to count. So, last week, we ended up talking about the new characters, specifically the Mukami brothers, and a little bit about the Tsukinami brothers, because they are only a little bit... Famously absent. But this week, we're going to be focusing more on the storyline, what happens in the anime, and does it also happen in the game? So, spoilers.
Big spoilers.
Big spoilers.
Yeah, but
first,
who are we doing this week?
I have gone back to playing Pio Fiore Episodio 1926, which is the Pio Fiore sequel fan disc. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I have been working on completing Jan's route.
Ooh, bad boy.
Bad boy. He is a very bad boy, but the thing about this game is that he is not the baddest boy.
Oh.
Yeah, so if you think that Jan's crazy, wait until you play Episodio 1926, because the bad guy in his route is like 20 times crazier than Jan is.
Wow, good thing you don't have to date him.
I know, I don't want to date him. At least Jan has some redeeming qualities, and you can be like, oh yeah, this guy's sexy. I mean, I guess the bad guy in his route is also sexy, but sexy in a, like, I am okay with dying after sleeping with this man kind of way.
Oh, terrifying. No thanks.
Yeah,
I'll pass.
no thanks. So, who are you doing, Vka?
I have started doing Yanagi's route. So you started doing it last week. I started doing it this week. And let me just tell you, I love the beginning of his route. Just because when I did the other routes for the other guys after doing the first route, I kind of skipped through the whole prologue again. Because I was like, okay, I've seen this. I know what's happening. I just want to get to the decision where I start to go for somebody's route. But with Yanagi's route, you get a lot of backstory. Like, you actually get a pretty different prologue, which is really nice. So I'm really enjoying that right now. And I really am excited to see what Yanagi's thing is.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to talk about it with you.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. So, going back into our actual topic, I'm going to start by kind of giving you a little bit of backstory, because once you get to the second season of Diabolik Lovers, and once you get to the second game, Diabolik Lovers More Blood, the storyline gets pretty complicated and convoluted, and there's a lot more lore that goes into it. And
there are also a lot of things that happen in the anime that you definitely have no understanding for. Like, the beginning of the anime starts with this scene of Yui standing by a tree. Just a tree. It's an apple tree. That's all you know. It's pretty. There's blossoms. There's also this, like, rotating, I don't even know what to call it, like, hallway in the sky. It's like a circular... I don't even know what it is. I can't explain it. But it's rotating this whole season, and you have no idea why. But you do know that it has something to do with Yui being Eve.
Yeah, exactly. And also the thing is, you get very little of the Sakamaki brothers in, like, the first half of the anime.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's really focused on the Mukami brothers. The Sakamaki brothers kind of wonder where Yui went.
And Creepy Baby's sad his snack is gone. That's why he's upset that she's gone. She's like, where is my blood? Where is my snack?
Yeah, but even after the Sakamakis kind of come back into play, a couple of them are still, like, very obviously absent. Deiji basically only exists for exposition, and Raito is in 2 scenes.
They really gave Raito the shaft.
Yeah, they did.
I feel bad for him.
Yeah, so basically what this revolves around is Karl Heinz has placed Yui where she is because he wants another vampire to become what he calls Adam.
And Azusa, in the later part of the anime, he calls it the Apple of Adam plan.
Yeah, the Apple of Adam plan, which would explain the apple tree.
That would explain the apple tree.
It doesn't explain why when they suck her blood it sounds like crunching apples, though.
Oh, that's completely unrelated, but also really exciting that happened in this season, because I was like, oh my gosh, there are actually apples in this one. It's so great.
Yeah, so the Apple of Adam plan, it's really not explained in the anime. All they say is that, we need Yui's blood to become Adam, and we need to become Adam. But what we find out in the game is that this is Karl Hein's way of finding his heir. So, and I won't say why Yui has to be Eve, because that's spoilers for the third game. But Yui has to be Eve. And whoever Eve chooses to be Adam, whoever awakens Eve's blood, will become Adam, and that is who Karl Heinz's heir is going to be. He's going to be the next vampire king.
And this is all context from the game. They do not tell you this in the anime.
No.
All you learn is that the Mukamis need to become Adam, whatever Adam means. And, Reiji comes in and says some generic things about, Eve, Adam, and then he kind of walks away disinterestedly, not really explaining what's going on. So all of the context is from the game.
Exactly. So that's the background of the plot. That is what's going on, and that's why the Mukami brothers are there, because they want to become Adam, and then I'll get into a little bit about why that might not be working at the end of this episode. But the Sakamaki brothers are kind of like, they don't really know what's going on.
Not to mention the whole thing with the wolves. So this is the crazy thing. And like you said in the last episode, this is part of the third game.
Yes.
Not the second game. Not about more blood. But the wolves become a big thing in this season, right? At some point, Reiji sits the Sakamaki brothers down and they have a family meeting. And they're talking about Eve, they're talking about becoming Adam, they're talking about what the Mukami brothers are up to. But also, as a side part, they look out the window and the moon is becoming full and they're like, oh, there's a lunar eclipse. We are going to become weaker. We have to be careful. And this has nothing to do with what's going on in the second game. Like, all of the thing about the lunar eclipse and the wolves and the shiso, that's from the third game.
Yeah.
So them squishing everything into one, this is like their effort of introducing at least Carla and Shin. But it's very, very strange. We don't really learn anything in season 2 about the wolves. It's just that they're there and they're introduced. And the brothers know, the Sakamaki brothers know that they have to be careful at the full moon and that it's coming.
Exactly. And the wolves do attack at some point.
That's true. There is a wolf attack.
You never find out why.
You really don't find out why. There's a point in the anime where the wolves attack the Sakamaki house and they attack the Mukami house. And when they attack the Mukami house, the Ruki actually gets injured. But you don't get any backstory as to why wolves are even there to begin with.
Yeah. They have a vague theory about it. They're like, oh, they're wolves, and so the wolves must be the founders, the Shiso, and they must be looking for Yui, so that's a problem. Do we ever find out why they're looking for Yui?
Of course not.
No. Absolutely not.
Of course not.
Because...
The wolf scene was pretty cool, though.
Yes, what happened to the wolf scene?
The wolf scene was pretty cool. The wolves, they come jumping into the Sakamaki's window, and they're rampaging all over the house. At some point, Subaru, clocks one in the face, which was really impressive. I was like, wow, Subaru, you're really good at punching things. I mean, that's basically his MO.
Yeah.
Subaru equals good at punching things.
I mean, it's usually walls.
Yeah. And I can imagine Reiji's really upset that his house is being messed up by all these wolves because he's such a pristine boy.
Yes, a pristine boy. That's Reiji. He's a pristine boy.
Yeah, the scenes were cool, but totally out of place.
So that's what's going on with the plot. But one of the great things about the game, something that I really loved about Diabolik Lovers More Blood, is that no matter whose route you were going for, there was a love rival. Whenever you went for one of the Sakamaki brothers, the rival was one of the Mukami brothers, and whenever you went for one of the Mukami brothers, the love rival was one of the Sakamaki brothers.
So how does this add up? Because there's more Sakamakis than there are Mukamis.
Yes. So some of the Mukami brothers are rivals with two of the Sakamaki brothers, and we'll go through them kind of pair by pair, but basically Cole is paired up against Subaru and Raito. And then Yuma is paired up against Shu and Reiji. Azusa is paired up against Kanato, and Ruki is paired up against Ayato, because they're both the main characters.
Right, so you get main and main, and you get Creepy Baby and Cinnamon Roll. And then Yuma and Cole both get, one or the other.
Yeah. So, let's talk about how that translates to the anime. So, Subaru and Cole. So, this is one of my favorites, and I'm so happy that they actually put this into the anime, because in the game it's such a great pairing, because they're very, very different people.
Yes.
But there is a scene where the Mukami brothers finally let Yui go back to school.
Oh, that's right. Her school outfit shows up in their house randomly from their storage closet of women's clothes, and they take her to school with them, finally.
Yeah, and then they just, like, leave her. They're like, bye, we'll see you later when we go home.
What was the purpose of keeping her at the house to begin with if they were just going to abandon her when they got to school?
I don't know. I don't understand that part either. But
I like this part, though, because she runs into Reiji, and Reiji's like, oh. And then Yui goes, Reiji, I've been kidnapped. And he just looks at her and he's like, I don't care. He walks away.
Yeah, so she like goes to him for help and then gets absolutely no help. Then what happens afterwards is Subaru comes up to her and grabs her and like drags her to the roof and is like, hey, are you there of your own free will? Are they keeping you against your will? And Yui's response is just like,
This is absurd, because the scene before with Reiji, she goes up and she's like, I've been kidnapped.
Help me.
Help me. And in front of Subaru, she's like, and can't say anything. Why doesn't she ask Subaru for help? Why doesn't she tell him what she told Reiji?
Yeah, and he's the one to ask for help because he is the one with empathy.
That's right. Doesn't she remember that in the first season he gave her a knife and was like, get out of here?
I guess, short-term memory loss. Actually, that would be long-term memory loss. Anyways.
Again, with the bad decisions.
Yeah. But what ends up happening is when Subaru and Yui are on the roof, Cole comes up and is kind of like, oh, Subaru, you like her, don't you? And Subaru's like, what? And Cole's like, oh, well, if you don't like her, then I'm just going to take her, and grabs Yui and starts walking away. And Subaru ends up grabbing Yui's other hand and is like, no, and sucks her blood, and then realizes what he's doing and is like, I can't deal with emotions, and leaves.
Oh my gosh. It's really strange. Subaru cares. You can tell he cares about Yui, but he has no idea what emotions are and how to deal with them.
No. But then afterwards, so Subaru leaves, and Cole is obviously jealous of the fact that Subaru sucked Yui's blood and is like, oh, Yui, do you like him? Do you like him more than you like me? And he ends up sucking her blood too, literally over Subaru's fang marks. And he's like, oh, I'm going to make my fang marks over his so that you won't remember him. You'll only remember me.
Dominance.
There's a lot of that in this game.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's Cole with Subaru. What about Cole with Raito?
So Cole with Raito, in the anime, we get nothing.
End of story. Done.
Yeah. None. There's not a single scene when the two of them interact.
That's true. Raito appears in 2 scenes, probably.
Yeah.
In the whole season.
Yeah, there's just nothing. It's and what makes me like so mad is that they could have really easily done something, because there's a scene that actually once again takes place at school with both Cole and Raito in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be really easy to put in. There's a scene where they're in the library and Yui's in the library with Cole, and Cole is kind of doing his, oh, I'm nice, I'm trying to help you, we're friends, and he basically goes to Yui and is like, oh, I'm really thirsty, can you help me out, can you give me some of your blood? And he sucks her blood in the library. And
sexy.
Yeah, I guess. And then Raito sees that, and after Cole leaves, Raito gets upset and sucks her blood too. They could have really easily added that into the anime.
Totally.
But they didn't.
Why? I don't understand.
I don't know. But we get nothing of that little versus thing.
Raito really did get shafted. That's a shame.
Yep.
So that's Ko's rivalry with Subaru, and I guess kind of Raito, even though it's not shown in the anime. What about Yuma?
Okay, so this is actually insanely story intensive.
Oh.
And it actually goes back into the first game too. But I'm not going to talk about that quite yet. I have to talk about Shu and Yuma, and then I also have to talk about Reiji and Yuma.
Yeah. In the anime, they basically have some interactions between Shu and Yuma at school, where, of course, Shu is randomly sleeping in a hallway somewhere.
Or on the stairs.
And Yuma gets annoyed at him for God knows.
Being in the way.
Goodness knows why he's upset at him. But, and I really wish they had gone over why they have this, like, relationship in the anime, but all that you really know is that Yuma doesn't like Shu because
he's an aristocrat?
Yeah, like he thinks he's better than him. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think Shu thinks anything of anyone else.
Yeah, they just keep showing Yuma yelling at Shu for being in the way.
And Shu napping.
And Shu napping. That's pretty much it. There's this scene where Yui gets dizzy at school, and Yuma comes up behind her, and he's like, ugh, this is so annoying, I have to take care of her. So he picks her up with his huge, manly body, and this is hilarious also in the anime, too, because he's so tall.
He is.
And he picks her up, like, so effortlessly. She looks like a child in his arms.
Yui's like 5 feet tall.
She's tiny compared to him. And he's walking down the, kind of like the hallway with her in his arms, and of course finds Shu in the middle of the hallway, sleeping, because what else does Shu do? And he starts yelling at him for being in the middle of the hallway. The thing I don't understand is, there's enough hallway for everyone, okay? Like, you could have just walked around Shu and been like, forget that guy. But no, he stops in front of him, and he yells at him. And not only that, but he makes it a point to suck Yui's blood in front of Shu.
Yeah.
To annoy him for something.
And Shu sees it, and he's kind of like, and ends up actually getting up and walking away. And then he kind of has like a moment where you get a little flashback, and he realizes that he thinks he may know Yuma from when they were kids.
Yeah.
Then he moves on with his life.
That's it. That's all you get.
That's it. But that kind of transitions into Reiji versus Yuma, because the only scene in the anime that shows anything with Reiji versus Yuma is right after that scene where Shu kind of realizes, like, oh, maybe I knew him when we were children. You see Reiji spying on that whole interaction, and Reiji says one line about how could he be alive and why is he a vampire?
And that's all you know.
And it's never revisited.
So as someone who never played the game, I don't understand this at all. I really don't get any of this backstory. I don't understand how they know each other. I don't know what the whole triangle is. But there's got to be a reason, right?
There is a reason, and there's a very important reason that actually plays a really big part in both Reiji and Shu's backstories as well, and goes into things that happen in the first game and the first season of the anime.
Wow.
So when they were all kids, before Shu became horribly apathetic because Reiji tried to ruin everything.
So this is when he still liked playing with puppies.
Yeah, he still liked playing with puppies. He still played the violin. Shu ended up meeting a boy from a neighboring village named Edgar. And Edgar's actually the one who gave him the puppy.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. So Edgar appears in season 1 of Diabolik Lovers.
Oh!
Yeah, very briefly, but he still appears.
Big click. Okay,
Yeah.
I get it now.
Yeah. And Shu and Edgar become really close friends. And Shu would always, like, sneak off to see Edgar. They'd hang out together. Edgar was from, like, this really poor village, and Shu was an aristocrat. Yeah, he was a prince.
Yeah.
So they were technically, like, not supposed to hang out together, but they did. And Reiji ends up finding out that Shu has made a friend. And at this point, Reiji is, like, systematically trying to ruin everything that Shu likes. He's trying to take things from him because he thinks that Shu has taken everything from Reiji.
Yeah, and that makes sense because their mother was a shitty mother.
Yeah, exactly. But what Reiji ends up doing is he burns down Edgar's village.
Wow.
And apparently kills Edgar and Edgar's entire family.
That's so messed up.
Yeah, and it is at this point when Shu stops caring. He stops caring about everything.
So Shu's apathy comes from his
Edgar
brother
dying.
killing Edgar in that fire.
Yeah, his brother killed his best friend, and Shu's like, I'm done trying to care about things.
Poor Shu!
Yeah. And it turns out Yuma is Edgar.
Oh my god!
And what happened is that Edgar, Yuma, was in the fire. He escaped. He was badly injured, but he escaped. But he lost all his memories.
Oh, so Yuma doesn't know who Shu is.
Yeah, Yuma doesn't know who Shu is. He doesn't know who Reiji is. He doesn't remember any of that. His first memories are of being on the streets before he was in the orphanage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so in the game, it's this really big thing about Reiji realizes who Yuma is first. And then Shu realizes, and then at some point Yuma regains his memories. And there's never like a big homecoming or like reuniting thing because they're both grown up and
Yeah, I mean, Shu's still apathetic.
yeah, Shu's still apathetic, Reiji's still a sadist, and Yuma's still a Yankee who grows tomatoes. Yeah. But that backstory is really, really important for all three characters in all of the games.
Wow.
It's systematically brought back up in every single game because it really shapes all of the characters.
Yeah. That's so fucked up, though. Because in the anime, you get a scene of a sort of flashback and Reiji going, oh, he's alive. And that's it.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, the biggest, giant plot hole, and it explains so much, and in the anime, nothing.
Shame.
Yeah. So that is the whole, like, Shu versus Yuma versus Reiji kind of revenge triangle, I guess you would call it. It's not a love triangle, but it's a something triangle.
Yeah, because Yui's not involved at all.
Yui is not involved.
It has nothing to do with Yui.
Absolutely not. Although, maybe someday I'll tell you about Shu's bad end in More Blood, because it has to do with all of them, and it's bad.
Oh, yeah. No. Let's move on. Let's talk about our cinnamon roll.
Cinnamon roll!
Let's talk about Azusa.
And your creepy baby.
And my creepy baby. Oh, I love this so much. It's one of my favorite things. And you told me that this scene is also in the game.
This scene is in the game.
But the way that they show the whole Azusa versus Kanato thing in the anime is that scene where basically after the wolves attack and Ruki gets injured, Azusa comes to the Sakamaki house and he's like, Yui, you have to... Okay, I'm not going to do the imitation because it'll take me forever to speak that slowly.
Azusa speaks slowly.
But Azusa basically comes in and he interrupts a moment with Kanato and Yui because Kanato's declaring his ownership of her, basically. And Azusa comes in and he's trying to get Yui back and saying, like, hey, you need to help Ruki because he's injured. Something bad has happened. And Kanato flips. Like, he flips a switch. He is so unhappy. And he's yelling and he's screaming at him and he's just generally unhelpful. And at some point, Kanato grabs Yui's arm and he's like, well, if I can't have you, then no one can. And he pretty much is almost about to choke her to death.
Yeah, like he's got his hands around her neck.
He's got his hands around her throat. And at some point during this whole scene, Azusa's standing there kind of like blankly, I guess. He's not really doing anything to help Yui, but he looks up at the fireplace and Teddy, our perfect little voyeur, Teddy, is sitting because he's a stuffed animal, but he's sitting on top of the fireplace. Azusa walks up to him slowly, grabs Teddy, stands in front of the fireplace, and just nonchalantly tosses him in. And as Kanato sees this, he has a breakdown. This is one of the most dramatic scenes in this season because we get a whole dramatic Teddy death scene. Because basically Azusa was trying to prevent Kanato from killing Yui, and that was his opening.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, the Sakamaki house has to have a whole storage closet full of teddies.
I know, right? Because if anything happens to a teddy, then Kanato loses it.
Yep, exactly. So they have to replace him somehow.
Yeah. But yeah. Yeah. I mean, Azusa burns Teddy to death. Mm-hmm. How poetic.
So that's the... Oh, that's sad, too, actually, because Kanato burned his mother. Well, she was already dead by the time he burned her, but still. No, that was a great scene. I really liked that. That was one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm. So the last verses that we're going to talk about is the two quote-unquote main allies, which is Ayato and Ruki.
Oh,
yeah.
Our leads.
Yeah. So we also get to talk a little bit more about Ruki, and we love Ruki and the fact that he actually cares about Yui's opinion and will, like, speak to her in full sentences, which is great.
Mm-hmm. And she speaks to him full sentences.
Yeah, it's wonderful. But basically, at some point in the game, Ruki starts having a mild breakdown because he finds out that when Karl Heinz originally, like, sent him and his brothers to get Yui, he thought that it was because he and his brothers had a chance to become Adam. So to become, like, Karl Heinz's heir. And about halfway through the game, and once again, they don't tell you this in the anime, you only find out if you've played the game, but about halfway through, Karl Heinz comes to him and says, oh, actually, none of you are going to be able to become Adam. Only my sons can become Adam. And I told you guys to do this because I wanted to speed up the process and get them to, like, act.
So the whole reason for them kidnapping Yui and going after her was so that Karl Heinz could light a fire under his son's asses.
Basically. Because they weren't doing anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so... But that's why Ruki is having a bit of a meltdown, because he thought that he was, like, leading his brothers into becoming something great, into having a better life. He thought that it was good for them. So he ends up having this thing where he is struggling with the fact that they were lied to, but also Karl-Heinz still saved their lives and gave them relatively good lives compared to what they had before. So they're still very much in debt to him.
Right. But in the anime, you don't get that backstory at all.
No,
You just get a scene of Ruki being very intent in a random hallway at Yui and almost sucking her blood. He, like, bares his fangs and he's about to suck her blood, and then he puts his fangs away and he, like, drags her behind him.
He puts his fangs away.
I mean, don't know what to call it. Like,
yeah.
He decides not to bite her, and he drags her into the... It's not a dungeon. It's like a smaller room. It looks like a prison cell, basically. Mm-hmm. And he locks her in there.
Yeah. And he's like, you're gonna stay in there for now.
Mm-hmm. And then it cuts to the scenes with him and his brothers, or actually just the brothers, because they know that Yui's locked in the dungeon, prison, whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the rest of his brothers were about to stage an intervention because Ruki was just locking himself in his room and not eating.
Yeah, it was real weird. He locked Yui away in the prison, and then he locks himself away in his bedroom, and everyone else is in the living room, like, wondering what the hell's wrong with Ruki. Yeah. And it's really cute, too, because at some point, Koa's, like, shows concern for Yui. He's like, this can't be what's happening.
Yeah.
And it's really sweet. So you can tell, like, and this goes back to the whole brothers dynamic. Like, I just love how they care about each other. Like, they're actually worried about their brother. Mm-hmm. And you can kind of tell they're worried about Yui. It's not very explicit, but it seems that they are.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So Ruki has the breakdown.
Yeah.
And then suddenly Ayato appears. We haven't seen Ayato for a very long time.
That's true. When Yui had gone to school with them, Ayato was absent.
Yeah. The other Sakamaki brothers came up and told Yui, oh, Ayato's really upset that you're not at home with us anymore, but he's not at school today, so
Yeah. So he shows up at the Mukami house.
There's a very intense scene where Ayato is standing in the garden, staring up at a window, and Ruki is, like, in the house, staring at Ayato in the garden, and they're just glaring at each other for, like, 10 seconds.
Yeah, they're making googly eyes at each other.
Yeah, and then the next thing you know, Ayato has, like, broken into the house and re-kidnaps Yui. Re-kidnaps? I don't know.
I feel like it's re-kidnaps. Yui's not there for... I mean...
I don't know.
She's just eternally a prisoner.
Yeah.
But anyways, she gets re-kidnapped. That's what I'm going to call it.
Mm-hmm. And the other Mukami brothers are like, Ruki, why didn't you do anything? And he doesn't say anything. He's just like, eh. And it leads to this weird scene with Ayato and Yui in the forest, where Ayato gets mad at Yui for having her blood sucked by the Mukami brothers.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. He's like, why did you let them take so much blood from you? And then he proceeds to drink her blood. I'm like, she's already dying of blood loss. You're not helping.
Yeah. But so that happens. And then it's after that the scene with Azusa and Kanato happens. So Yui ends up going back to the Mukami brothers' household.
I feel like they're just transporting her back and forth.
Yeah, like it's like they have...
It's like Yui Ping Pong.
Yui Ping Pong. I was going to say that they have like shared custody of her. But I don't think any of them would like that. It would not have been a very amicable divorce between the Mukami and the Sakamaki households.
Agreed. But she ends up back at the Mukami house at some point.
Yeah, and that's where you get all of these really, like, heartfelt scenes between her and Ruki.
The romance.
Yeah.
The one instance of romance in the 2 seasons of the anime.
And Ruki is basically like, oh, you know, I want you to be my one and only Eve. Don't ever leave me. And he, like, appreciates her. And then Ayato shows up and ruins it.
Ayato, always cock blocking
everyone.
Yeah.
So Ayato shows up and he's like, hey, we've been attacked by wolves too. And Ruki's like, you too? And Ayato's like, yeah, they're obviously after Yui. And Ruki's like, oh, well, we have to protect her. And Yui's like, what? But what ends up happening is you get this weird threesome blood-sucking scene because Ayato's like, you're mine. You're my blood. You belong to me. You should know that. And Ruki's like, well, I don't want to let her go either. And they end up sucking her blood at the same time. And I'm not sure if it's awkward or sexy or both.
I think it's a little bit of both. Yeah. Because Ayato sucks her blood from the front and then Ruki sucks her blood from the back.
And he like covers her eyes with his hands.
It's very bizarre.
Yeah. He's like, only feel my fangs.
Except she's getting her blood is getting sucked by two different people.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
she's gonna feel it.
Yeah, like if somebody was puncturing me in two different places, I'm pretty sure I would feel pain in both places.
Agreed. Yeah, it was a really weird little love triangle.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's all of the versus scenes that we get in the anime. In the game, it's a lot more involved, obviously, because it's very different with each of the guys, and with some of them there's a lot more romance involved, and with some of them it's just a lot more possessiveness involved.
Possessiveness?
Yeah. When you're doing Ruki's route, Ayato does come and try to get her back, but it's not because he likes Yui.
Oh.
It's because he thinks that Yui is like his possession.
Yeah. No, I definitely saw that even in the anime, with the scene with Kanato as well. Yeah. Like, he definitely thinks that Yui belongs to him and only him. Yeah. It's so strange.
This whole series is strange. Speaking of strange, something that happens both in the game and the anime is a lot of these characters have nicknames for Yui.
Oh, that's right. That's so right. I thought this was so weird even in the first season. Yeah. So my favorite one probably is Bichi-chan.
Oh, yeah. Raito calls her Bichi-chan.
Yeah.
And they translate that in the subtitles to little bitch.
Yeah.
Which is correct. That is the correct way to translate that. You know what is not the correct way to translate something?
What?
Ayato calls Yui chichi-nashi.
No boobs.
No boobs. Means no boobs.
Yeah.
They translated in English to pancake.
I don't see the connection there.
I mean, pancake, flat as a pancake?
Sure, but still, pancake could also be like a sweet little affection type thing as well.
It
like
is
muffin or cookie or sweetie.
Yeah, but the way he says it in Japanese is very vulgar. It's literally like, you have no boobs and that is your name.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
Yui's defined by the absence of boobs.
Absence of boobs.
That's really sad.
Yeah, and I mean, then we get into the Mukami family and their nicknames for her.
Oh, yeah. It's just all versions of food.
So Ruki calls her kachiku, which means livestock.
Great.
Yeah. Yuma calls her mesubuta, which means sow.
Yeah.
And Cole calls her Emu Neko-chan.
Oh, I love that one. It's so cute.
Which means masochistic kitten.
And they actually translate that correctly in the anime.
They do translate it correctly.
They say masochistic kitten.
Masochistic kitten.
Emu Neko-chan. Yeah, I don't know what the heck happened with Ayato and Pancake.
I think maybe when they started doing the first season of the anime, they wanted to try to translate it to something that maybe made more sense in English, and then they realized that was kind of weird and directly translated everything else. I don't know.
I thought maybe they were trying to go for something a little bit less offensive, but then they used little bitch, so I guess I can't say that. That's kind of a opposite against the argument.
It's like in the same scene.
I don't know. It was bad. That's a bad translation, but I do like the nicknames. Yeah. They also call her Essa a lot.
Yeah, that just means food, but not like people
feed.
Food. It's like
when
fodder.
You feed a chicken.
Yeah.
Right?
Feed a chicken.
She is the sustenance.
Yes, the sustenance.
Man.
So, I mean, we had a lot of questions in the anime. And some of them get answered, not all of them. So
I feel like most of them don't get answered.
Yeah.
Like, you never get any clarification about why she has Eve's blood.
Yeah, no. Why does Yui have Eve's blood?
But also, like, she has Eve's blood, but in the first season she has Cordelia's heart. So how does that whole thing go together?
That's explained in the third game, so I can't tell you.
Well, maybe we'll learn next time if we talk about the third game.
Yeah, if we talk about the third game. Maybe they'll do a third season of the anime, holding out hope for that. Who knows?
Yeah.
Also, what is Druki reading? He has a book with him in like 99% of his scenes. We never figure out what that's about.
Did they tell you in the game?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I guess it was unimportant.
Unimportant.
Yeah, you also have no idea how Cole gets his magic eye.
Yeah, well, the only reason why you even have a vague idea that Cole has a magic eye is because in one scene it glows. One scene.
That's true. One scene. Oh, and the scene where he, like, it kind of alludes to it in the anime. Mm-hmm. He's holding a fork, it's bloody, and he's covering his eye.
Yeah.
But that has nothing to do with the red glowing magic eye.
No.
It's vague.
Not at all. Also, we went over Yuma's relationship with Shu and Reiji. Never explained.
Totally skipped.
Mm-hmm.
So if you didn't play the game, you would have no idea that any of that happened.
Nope, not at all.
That's a big shame.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you have no idea why Ruki has this existential crisis.
And that's a huge part of the anime.
Yeah. Like, you don't have the conversation between him and Karl Heinz. All you get is he gets upset and then throws her in the dungeon prison.
Yeah, no, that's it. Also, what is the rotating thing around the apple tree?
I still don't know.
No idea. And all the Adam and Eve stuff in general, it's not explained.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the anime brought more questions than it did answer them.
Mm-hmm. I recommend watching it if you've played the game.
Agreed.
If you haven't played the game, I mean, good luck. It's pretty.
It is pretty. It is very attractive to watch. The opening themes are pretty nice.
Yeah, the voice actors
acting is wonderful.
Oh, A-list cast. I love all of them.
They're so
much.
good.
So good. So good.
Their voices are super sexy. Even some of the scenes are sexy. Like, there's this one scene with Shu and with Yui in the garden, and it looks straight like it came out of a porno.
And there's porno music.
Yeah, that's true. It gives them the whole bow chicka wow wow background.
And he does porno lines.
And he does porno lines. And it's so sexy.
Yeah, he's like, I know you want this. Like, don't try to run away from me.
Mm-mm. So it is. The quality of the animation is good. The voice acting is amazing. Mm-hmm. They don't go into the romance very much at all.
No. So, I mean, if you're into that, then you're into that, and there's nothing wrong with it. Mm-hmm. I mean, vampire ASMR porn?
Why not?
We got you.
It's good.
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend it if you like it, but knowing the context really, really helps you out.
It does. It does.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks for listening to us again, guys. That concludes us talking about Diabolik Lovers More Blood, the game, versus Diabolik Lovers More Blood, the anime.
Maybe we can do another episode of this if they ever come out with the season 3 of the anime. That would be really cool.
That would be super, super cool. And then maybe we could actually learn Carla's name.
Yes. Then maybe we can actually learn Carla's name.
Yeah. So please go ahead and like and follow wherever you're listening to this. And we also have a Twitter and an Instagram if you would like to learn more about what we're up to and get updates on the podcast.
Thanks again for listening, guys.
Bye!